بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is back in Mecca. Mut'am ibn Adi has given him the protection needed, and he warned the dignitaries and the pagans of Mecca not to get close to the Prophet ﷺ. After almost 12 years of spreading the word of Allah Azza wa Jal, one would say, why were there no miracles to the Prophet ﷺ to prove to the people that he is the messenger of Allah, and to comfort him, to give him the strong belief that he was on the right track? The answer to that is very simple. Moses, may Allah be peace and blessing be upon him, was given the stick, and that stick turned into a big snake that ate all the magic snakes, the magical snakes of the sorcerers of his time. So he came to them with a miracle suitable for their time. At the time of Jesus Christ, peace and blessing be upon him, people were known to be perfect and excellent in medicine. So he came to them curing the leopard, the deaf, and the blind, which was something out of that world at the time. When our Prophet ﷺ came, he came with one great miracle that no one could reject, which was the Holy Quran. The Arabs were people of poetry and eloquent in their words. They were articulate, and they used to pay a lot of attention to what they say and write. So when the Quran came, they were astonished. They could not do anything against this Quran. Nevertheless, the Prophet ﷺ was given a lot of miracles. For example, the splitting of the moon, where the pagans looked at the two splits of the moon with a mountain in between, and after it came back again, they said, well, Muhammad ﷺ is a sorcerer. He made us see things that were not real. He was given so many miracles, but after 11 or 12 years, it was time for one of the greatest miracles of all. And what that was, the event of Al-Isra and Al-Mi'raj. Isra is the journey from Mecca to Jerusalem, Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, to Al-Quds. And Al-Mi'raj is the resurrection, is the journey from there to the seventh heavens of Allah Azza wa Jal. This miraculous journey, what is known as the night journey, took place in few hours. A journey that takes a month on camelback to Jerusalem and another month to come back again was made in less than 3 or 4 hours. This journey had the intention of relieving the Prophet ﷺ from his worries, comforting him, and to tell him and show him the great wonders of Allah Azza wa Jal. لِنُرِيَهُ آيَاتِنَا الْكُبْرَى. So it was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to see and believe with his own eyes. We are told that the Archangel Gabriel came to the house of the Prophet ﷺ, or came to him while he was lying down in the masjid of the Kaaba. And he performed another surgery. He cut his chest and got his heart out and washed it in a golden plate with Zamzam water, and then filled it again, his heart, with wisdom and faith, and put his heart back again and sew it as it was. As we know, the Prophet ﷺ had the surgery twice in his lifetime. Once when he was 5 years old, when he was at Bani Sa'ad in the wilderness, and the second one just before he did this miraculous night journey. And scholars say that this operation was made again because he was about to see things that no other man can bear. Humans could not tolerate such a journey, and that was why he had to have this operation. Gabriel had a beast with him that was not as big as a horse and not as small as a mule. It was in between, and it was called Al-Buraq. It had a name. And this Buraq, this animal, traveled faster than light, because he used to put his front leg wherever his sight ended. So imagine how quick that would be. And in no time, they reached Jerusalem. And the Prophet ﷺ went in there, and he met all the prophets and messengers of Allah who were at that time. And one would argue and say, we know that the prophets and messengers are dead, so how can he see them? Well, this is part of the miracle. They are dead in their graves, yet their souls are in paradise. So this life, which is called Al-Barzakh, which is between our life and the Day of Judgment, the hereafter, this life, Al-Barzakh, has strange characteristics that are not similar to any of the two other lives, in the sense that when people die, their bodies are dead, and the punishment or the reward is inflicted on their souls with some contact to the body that is dead. In this life, the punishment and the reward is inflicted on the body with some attachment to the soul. And on the hereafter, on the Day of Judgment, in paradise or in hell, the punishment is completely inflicted on the body and soul, as the reward is also inflicted on the body and soul together. So the Prophet ﷺ saw the messengers of Allah, and he led them in prayer in Jerusalem, in Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. And Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, as we know, is a sacred mosque. It's one of the 3 sacred mosques that we are allowed to travel to. And travel to meaning in the form of worship. And the other 2 mosques are
Medina, Mecca and Medina.
The holy mosque in Mecca, which is Al-Masjid Al-Haram, and the holy mosque in Medina, which is Al-Masjid Al-Nabawi. These 3 mosques are the only mosques in the world that we are allowed to pack our bags and travel to pray in, with the intention of worship. We are told, the Prophet ﷺ tells us, that the man that built this holy mosque in Jerusalem was Solomon, the Prophet of Allah, Sulaiman. And when he built this mosque, he asked Allah for two things. Or actually, he asked Allah Azza wa Jal for three things, but Allah awarded him two, which were, he asked Allah Azza wa Jal that at the end of the things that he asked Allah Azza wa Jal that no one leaves his house to pray in the Holy Mosque of Jerusalem. Allah Azza wa Jal will reward him that all his sins will be forgiven. So the Prophet ﷺ tells us that I hope that this has been answered by Allah Azza wa Jal. Which means that we are asked and requested and instructed when we can to go and pray in Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. May Allah Azza wa Jal liberate it from the Jews who are taking it over and controlling it. After the Prophet ﷺ prayed and led the prayer in Bayt al-Maqdis, in Masjid al-Aqsa, in Jerusalem, and of course, before we continue, this is an issue of dispute among scholars. The majority say that the journey started from Mecca, there was a stop in Jerusalem, and then he was resurrected to the seventh heavens. Now, this was the majority of the scholars. Other scholars say, such as Ibn Kathir, it was not this way. It was the other way around. He was resurrected to the seven heavens, and that is why whenever he was met by a messenger, he would be introduced to him. And afterwards he went to Jerusalem, where he met the messengers and led the prayer, and then came back to Mecca. And this sounds more logical. Nevertheless, we will go through what the majority say, and say that he first went to Jerusalem. What was the point of the Prophet ﷺ going to Jerusalem? Why Jerusalem in particular? Simply because it is the place of most religions. So most prophets and messengers of sons of Israel were from Jerusalem, and most of their life they used to go there, and this is where Moses, peace and blessing be upon him, also was instructed to go there when his people refused and they were lost in the desert for 40 years. So that is why it was significant for the Prophet ﷺ to go to the birthplace of most of the prophets. We have a short break, so stay tuned, and inshallah we will be right back.
Back to the Prophet. Join Sheikh Amar in the program Back to the Prophet, wherein he teaches us practical lessons from the Prophet's life and how this can help us to overcome our challenges in the present.
We talk about the life example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, seeking guidance for ourselves. In the early days after the revelation of the Holy Quran, the Muslims were greatly persecuted, so much so that quite a few Muslims had to leave Arabia and migrate to Africa to live among Ahl Kitab, Christian people who followed the gospel of Christ.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. Just before the break, we were talking about the night journey of Al-Isra and Al-Mi'raj. And the Prophet ﷺ went with Jibreel on Al-Buraq, and they reached Jerusalem, where the Prophet ﷺ met the messengers of Allah. He led them in prayer, and then started his night journey to the heavens. One may use his logic, but this is not acceptable. One would say, how is it that the Prophet ﷺ chest was split into two, his heart came out, and he was aware of what's going on. He didn't die. There were no anesthetics or whatever. How could this happen twice to him without him being dead? Well, this is something of Allah's creations. And in so many cases, you cannot apply the logic and the modern technologies and sciences to what Allah wants, subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are so many times that we hear that people died for 12 hours and came back from the dead. They were resurrected? No. But medicine cannot explain this. Here, it's the Archangel Gabriel. It's Allah's instructions to do this, and it's been done. So what's wrong in that? There's nothing logical in that, in the sense that you may not apply your human logic to it. You have to believe that this is taking place because Allah wants it to be there. Also, how can a man travel from one place to the other in less than an hour, from Mecca to Jerusalem? Well, 100 years ago, if someone would say that we will be able to travel from London to New York in less than 4 hours, they would have thought that he was crazy. With the Concords now they're banned, but before that, it used to take 4 hours. And who knows, maybe it would take less than that in the future. If they go out of space and come back again, maybe it would take 1 hour only for them to do such a long journey. We are not applying modern science and technology to this night journey, because this was a miracle. The Prophet ﷺ was transformed there on Al-Buraq, this beast, and from there he was resurrected. He took the night journey to the heavens. And what we know at the moment is only the first level of the heavens. And we are told that there are 7 levels. In one hadith, we're told that between one level and the other is a journey of 500 years. So you can imagine the distance, and you can imagine how long would it take for a rider to ride for 500 years?
So long.
Million kilometer, trillion kilometer. You cannot count this. So this, what we see, the space travel, the astronauts, spaceships, all of what they can see, and the probes trying to locate other planets in our solar system, all of this is considered to be one level. This is as-sama'ud dunya. And if you imagine the magnitude of this problem, or of this creation of Allah Azza wa Jal, you know how great Allah is and how small you are. And this can be imagined if you look at where we're sitting at the moment, here. What is the ratio between our size and the size of the studio? 1 to 10, for example. Okay, what happens if I get in a helicopter and I go a little bit like 100 meters above the ground? I will see the whole area. And if I go 1,000 meters above the ground, I will see the city. And then I'll see the country. And then I will see the continent. And then I will see the whole earth. And where am I there? I cannot see me. And I cannot see anyone else. And imagine that this is only one planet in a number of planets in the solar system. And the closest planet from us is about 2 years travel. And the furthest is about, God knows how long, maybe 100 or 150 years of travel, who knows. And this is only one solar system. And we are told that in our galaxy there are millions of similar solar systems. And we are told that there are hundreds of thousands of different galaxies. And in all of this, where do I stand? I'm minute person. We're told in the Quran that the people did not give Allah Azza wa Jal His due. They did not give Him His right, where all the earths and the skies are at the palm of His hand, the Almighty. So what is this? Once you realize your size, once you realize your reality, and this gives you a clear idea about the greatness of Allah, the creator of all of this universe. The night journey started, and the Prophet ﷺ was headed to the heavens. He was met at first by the first heavens, as-sama' ad-dunya, and it had a gate. So Gabriel knocked on the gate, and this is a real gate. It's not something fictional, but we cannot see such things. So the angels inside said, who was it? So he said, it is the archangel Gabriel and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So they asked him, was he commissioned? Was he sent to his people? He said, yes. So they greeted him and they allowed him in. And the first thing he saw was a man, a tall man with a beautiful face, with people on his right and children on his left. Whenever he looked to his right, he smiled. Whenever he looked to his left, he had a grin on his face. So, and a frown. So he asked Gabriel, who is this man? So he told him that this is Adam. And those children on his right are his offsprings going to paradise. And the children on his left are the offsprings going to hell. And he met Adam, who greeted him and saluted him and told him good things. Then they went to the second heavens. And there, the Prophet ﷺ, again, they knocked the door, the gates, and he was admitted in. He met Jesus Christ and his cousin, John the Baptist, Yahya, there, and they're all prophets. And they greeted him and they saluted him. And from there, the Prophet ﷺ went on to the third heavens. And there he was met by Joseph, Yusuf, alayhi salatu wassalam. And remember that when the Prophet ﷺ was asked, who is the most honorable and noble of all mankind, he said, Joseph, the son of Jacob, the son of Isaac, the son of Abraham. And they're all prophets of Allah Azza wa Jal. And when they went to the fourth heaven, they were met by Idris. And when they went to the fifth, the Prophet ﷺ met Aaron, Harun, the brother of Moses. And when he went to the sixth, he was met by Moses. And he went to the seventh, he was met by Abraham. And Abraham had his back to a structure, to a building that was similar to the Kaaba. And it is called Al-Bayt Al-Ma'mur, the house that was filled with good things. And he had his back to it. Al-Bayt Al-Ma'mur, the Prophet ﷺ told us that it's a structure that angels perform something similar to Hajj to it. And every single day, 70,000 angels enter it, and then they leave it without coming to it back again until the Day of Judgment. So you could just do the calculations and try to estimate how many angels are there. If since the beginning of time, 70,000 goes in and never comes back to it again. So in 10 days you have 700,000, in 100 days you have 7 million, and on and on and on again. This was Al-Bayt Al-Ma'mur. Through the process, the Prophet ﷺ met the messengers, and then he was allowed to go to the top level of paradise, where it was close to our Creator Allah Azza wa Jal. And he saw wonders. He saw things that were undescribable. And Allah Azza wa Jal talked to him. And we were told about the things that took place, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him and told him that he had made 50 prayers obligatory upon him. The Prophet ﷺ saw wonders in that night journey. He came back to us telling us about few of the things that he has seen. He has seen hell and paradise. He has seen Malik, the angel responsible for hell, and he saw Ridwan, the angel responsible for paradise. Malik never smiled, and if you look in his face, it is hell. Ridwan was the angel of paradise, where whomever saw him was happy, and so on. The Prophet ﷺ saw a lot of things. Unfortunately, this brings us to the end of today's program, but inshallah next time we will be able to go into more details about his night journey. And until then, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Mm-hmm.